Welcome to 21st Sports. Week 2 is underway, and we are talking the Tennessee Titans at the Detroit Lions and their matchup, which happened September 18, 2016. And this was an ugly game. Not a lot of offense, a lot of penalties, and a lot of mistakes. So the Lions they lost this one more than the Titans won this one, but I'll start off. They were in the lead early. Detroit had that safety to get on the board first, and Stafford hit Anquan Boldin for a 24-yard touchdown to give the Lions the early lead 9-0. Then in the second, Suckup added a 46-yard field goal to make it 9-3. Then Matt Prater hit a 42-yard field goal to make it 12-3. So that was a score at halftime. Prater added another field goal in the third to make it 27. That was a 27-yard field goal to make it 15-3. So Lions leading going into the fourth quarter. But then Marcus Mariota threw a pair of fourth quarter touchdowns. He hit Delanie Walker for a 30-yard touchdown at the beginning of the fourth to make it a 5-point game, with Detroit still up 15-10. But then in the closing minutes of the game, with just over a minute left to play in regulation, Marcus Mariota hit Andre Johnson with a nice little pass, put the good touch on it, just put it over the defender's head. And of course, Andre Johnson, he's pretty tall, and he came down with that one, a 9-yard touchdown, and that gave the Titans the lead by 1. They went for 2. The conversion failed. That would have given them a 3-point lead, which would have made it a field goal for a tie. But now, with just a 1-point lead, 16-15, Detroit still had a chance to win with very little time on the clock, down by 1, and Stafford is intercepted, and the Titans hold on to win this one. But really, where I say the Lions lost this one more than the Titans won was the Lions had 3 touchdowns called back because of penalties. So the penalties really killing the Lions, as they were just shooting themselves in the foot, and they just let this one slip out of their hands. Sloppy play. Otherwise, they would have been winners, but instead it's the Titans, and still you got to give them credit, and you got to give Mariota credit. He came up clutch in the fourth. He got the job done, especially there in the closing minutes. That is what clutch is all about. And that 2-minute warning, if you can get a score, you are clutch. And he was 25 for 33, 238 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception for Mariota. Murray had 12 carries for 89 yards. He also had 7 catches for 56 yards, giving 146 total yards on the game. Walker, 6 catches for 83 yards and a touchdown. Of course, Johnson had that other touchdown catch. That was his only catch of the game, that 9-yard touchdown. Stafford was 22 for 40, 260 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception. Of course, that interception came at the worst possible time there in the closing moments of the game. Of course, they're running out of time, as it were, and those penalties really is what got them. It wasn't the interception by Stafford that lost them the game. It was all those penalties. But Jones, 8 catches for 118 yards, was the leading receiver in the game for Detroit and in the game overall. Prater, 2 for 2 on the field goals and 1 for 1 on the extra points. Suckup did miss a field goal. He was 1 for 2 for the Titans. Taylor had 1.5 sacks. Hyder had a sack. And Nagata had a half a sack for Detroit. And for the Titans, Brian Arakpo, 2 sacks. Dodd and Klug each had a sack as well, and Cox is the one who came down with that interception there in the fourth at the end of the game. They both had 22 first downs. On third down, they were both in the 40s, 43% for Detroit, 41% for the Titans. The Titans were 5 for 12, Detroit was 7 for 16 on third downs. Total yards about the same, only a 12-yard difference in total net yards, 363 to 375. With the slight edge going to the Lions. Same with the rushing yards. The Titans only had 2 more net rushing yards at 139 to 137. Said it was about as close as you can get. But like I said, those penalties, though, both sides playing really ugly and really sloppy, as these two teams combined for 29 penalties and over 200 yards penalized. As the Lions, 17 penalties against the Lions, 138 penalty yards. That's how you lose a game. Of course, the Titans were not much better in terms of penalties. 12 for 83 yards. Of course, if you have 12 penalties and only 83 penalty yards, not so bad. I mean, you could end up with like half as many penalties and that many penalty yards. So at least, I mean, a lot of penalties against the Titans, but considering how many, you would have thought it'd be more penalty yards. Hell, even 17 penalties against the Lions and only 138 with 17 penalties. You could have almost a lot more than that, but so 138 yards is friggin' enormous. I mean, that's almost 100 yards more than a team typically would get, in a game in terms of penalty yards. Just really, really sloppy, ugly play in this game. Look at the red zone, 1 for 1 for the Titans, 100%. The Lions just 1 for 3 in the red zone, just 33%. Time possession was basically even. 30 minutes, 51 seconds for the Titans, 29 minutes and 9 seconds for the Lions. So an ugly game, but let me know what you think in the comments section below. Which plays and performances stuck out to you? Definitely interested to read your thoughts and opinions. Thank you very much for listening. It is greatly appreciated. I hope you're having a good day and had a great weekend, and enjoy all the sports.